I'm Mr. White. Okay, got your evaluation video in. This was, let me look at my notes. This was your uncle's watch. And it sat, looks like it got a fair amount of moisture inside. And you're looking about bringing this back. The darkened loom, what happens there is that the loom is salt-based, and so whenever moisture gets in, it gets pulled up to the dial where you get condensation, and then it can react with the loom. Loom is salt-based, and that's where you get this darkness. Been a good amount of moisture in here. You can see there's pieces of the original chapter ring there printing on the dial, but it's mostly gone. Marker tops are pretty hit. You got some printing loss on the sub-register. Your Seiko logo is bent. Now, we had talked, and I said in my initial email before we saw the watch, I said, hey, obviously the dial is going to be our number one concern because you got to look at it and you have to enjoy the look of it. Now, there's nothing to say. I can't clean this loom. It's too far gone. So I'd have to reloom this. Ditto for the hands. It's just the loom is too gone. But as I said in my email to you, I happen to have original dials for these. 6139, 6002, 6000, 6001, 6002. So none of them are perfect. All of them are better than yours. Yeah, this one's a heartbreaker. This is the best overall condition dial, but you see that circle? The hour hands, the back side of the hour hand was dragging in a circle on the dial. It's too bad because look at the loom and the rest of the dial surface is really, really super nice. It's possible that I could minimize the look of that, but you see it in reflection and everything else. Geez, but the loom is just beautiful. I mean, I could try to use a dull coat to kind of pepper in on that to minimize that. I don't know how it would look at the end. The reason it's a killer, your watch was made in, darn it, 6/3, so that's March 1976. Typically, the dials were made the month before the watches. The dials are dated on the back, so this should have 6/2 for dial date. There it is, 6/2. You wouldn't even, if this dial was in this watch and I took it apart, I'd be like, oh, that's the original dial. And it has great loom, but boy, that scratcher on the inside, that's just a heartbreaker. But yeah, I might be able to do something with it. This dial has some marks on it, and the loom's a little dirty. I can clean that loom up. Marker tops are pretty decent. It's got a few marks on the dial, but nothing major. And it is, of course, head and shoulders better than your dial here. This one is also 1976. No, 1972 this one is. November 72. And then, of course, you got this one. This is another one, another heartbreaker. Because the loom, it's got these little marks on the loom, but that's just storage wear. I can clean that off. But if you look at the surface, that matte surface is kind of scratched up, and it's too bad. This was a nice dial. November 76. I mean, I have other dials, but I've gone through, and these really are the best ones I've got. It's another 6 November. November 76, I mean. Yeah, this one's got some chips and pecks on it, again, in that top layer. It's not through the paint, it's just through the top layer. Loom is pretty nice on this one, actually. This might overall be the best dial, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Why don't you look at those and tell me what you think? Okay. Let's look at your actual watch. Your uncle definitely wore it a lot. Got a lot of pecks and everything on the case. I don't do case polishing, so those marks for the most part stay. I polish on the order of like polishing silver. I don't polish with a wheel or a buffer. I don't look to take any metal down. I just want to pull the haze off. You still got your case lines. Somebody did a little bit of fun stuff on the sides here. I can probably take that back to not brushed because it's supposed to be high polish. But yeah, I don't do major case refinishing. I just clean and clean and clean and polish like I'm polishing silver. And that takes you a lot of the way. It really does. Why did I just do that? Okay. What do we got? I don't see any servicing marks. Okay. Yeah, we definitely saw some moisture in here. The movement looks hazy and I mean, not a ton of water, but it definitely got some moisture exposure, and that can have a pretty serious effect on how it runs, because you get damage at really fine detail levels. Yeah, your lower mainspring arbor board is loose, and that's not a surprise. But as we see, the watch is a runner. It'll look a lot nicer serviced. Let me put some power into it, and I want to test the functions. I'm not going to put a lot of power into it. So run stopped, and it runs. It runs when it's in chronograph mode. Your crown gasket is sticky. Day date quick correct exists. Your hands are, the metal's not bad. I don't know how it would come out though. It probably has some plating loss. That dial is worked. This lower minute counter hand is black. That doesn't make it very easy to see. I have original hands. Your main sweep I'd want to keep because it's keyed to the chronograph wheel, but I could touch it up some. Let's see if it pushes over that hand. Looking to see if the minute counter hand goes over. Yes, it does. So your chronograph wheel appears to be good. That is fantastic news. Your indicator ring turns with the crown, so that's good. It's got a plastic crystal in it. It's not the right crystal. It's going to have to be swapped out. If you decide to move ahead with one of these dials, what I would likely do is clean the dial and then relume your original hands to match that dial. We'll be replacing the minute counter hand. Yeah. So anyway, it's up to you. Now, everything I said about having to deal with this thing, like reluming the dial or any of that kind of stuff, if you want to keep your dial in there and have me relume it, we can do that. If you want me to leave the dial exactly as it is, I can do that too. You just have to let me know, and we will go from there. I would say the one thing, it's a runner. The one thing that we have to be concerned with is the effect of long-term moisture exposure on the movement. But currently it's a runner, so it's just a matter of figuring out our path forward and what you feel like doing. So you let me know, and let's start planning. Thank you very much.